Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Talk with AVC. We are fast approaching the NFL draft, and as in such, it is time for a mock draft. Joining me today, I have a special guest who's going to give me a helping hand. We're going to do a little point-v-point mock draft. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jack Vapolis.
Thank you, ABC. Thanks for having me on the show. I'm excited to reveal our mock drafts today.
No problem, Jack. Good to have you. So, I guess we had kind of talked about this. How exactly do you want to go about this? Do you want to do odds and evens? Do you want to just...
I have a full mock done, so it's completely up to you what you would like to do. It's your show.
Why don't we just go pick by pick? We'll try to go efficiently. We'll probably try to keep this under about 10 minutes if that's possible. And
Okay,
we'll see if we can just rattle off our picks and we'll go from there. Sound good?
Alright, sounds good, yeah.
Alright, my mock draft is having a bit of a problem loading at the moment, but we should be getting there in a second. Why don't we just start off with the obvious number one selection? Is there any way Burrow doesn't go number one?
I do not believe so. I believe that this has been locked in for months now.
I can pretty much agree with you on that. I don't see any chance of anybody else going number one. There's been rumors of the Dolphins possibly trading up, but
Yeah,
I don't see it.
I don't think that's a bet. If the Bengals, really like him, why are they going to trade the pick?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Alright, number two, again, Washington. Kind of another more simple pick.
Yeah.
Do you take Chase Young? I got Chase Young, too.
I got Chase locked in. I mean, I've seen mock drafts with Tua going second, but drafting a quarterback last year and then trading for Kyle Allen on top of it.
Yeah, I just don't see it.
I don't see it happening.
My thing with this is, if Tua was 100% healthy, if we didn't have the whole corona thing making it impossible to evaluate players with health issues right now, then maybe I could see Tua going too. But with the injury concerns with Washington, I don't see it.
Well, my belief, I still believe it, that if he would have played the whole season and never got hurt,
he might have been the number one overall pick.
It would have been close.
It would have been close.
Burrow had a great year.
Burrow had such a great season, though.
Tua had consecutive great seasons.
That's true. That's true.
So,
now, I don't know if...
It would have been close.
I don't know if I've discussed this with you, but I've discussed this with a lot of other people. I'm not a big Tua fan when it comes to NFL. Couple reasons. Besides the injury concerns, which he has a lot of, I'm not usually a fan of undersized quarterbacks. I don't think they usually tend to work out that great. Also, Alabama quarterback, so it's kind of a bit of a double jeopardy for me there. But I will not deny that he has exceeding talent. So that's why at number 3, this is just in my mock, I have the Chargers trading up to 3 and taking Tua.
ABC, I have the same exact thing. I have the Chargers trading up to 3rd, the Lions going back to 6th, receiving a second-round pick.
I also have the Lions receiving Desmond. I also have the Lions receiving because I've heard this is possible because the Lions were initially afraid. Apparently, they're hesitant to trade back with Miami because they think that the Giants will then take Okudah, and they won't be able to get their corner. However, if they trade with the Chargers have apparently offered Desmond King, who would fill their need at cornerback.
Yes, I heard that.
So I have them getting a 4th-round pick and Desmond King. And the 6th overall pick for the 3rd overall pick.
I just had it straight up as the Lions would also receive the 37th pick along with swapping first-round picks.
I can agree to that. I think definitely Detroit. This is definitely a trade back spot for Detroit because they have a lot of needs to address, and either Miami or LA, one of those two is going to hop up to draft a QB.
Yeah, I truly believe that.
And I've heard Miami isn't quite as high on Tua, so I think this will be LA pulling the trigger on that trade.
Yeah.
All right, number 4, I have the Giants taking Tristan Wirfs.
I have the Giants taking Tristan Wirfs.
I think this is the obvious pick. Gettleman loves his athletic standouts, so I think Wirfs is the obvious pick. You need to get some reinforcement help on that O-line. 1, to help Daniel Jones develop, and 2, to ensure that Saquon Barkley is healthy enough so that way when the team actually comes together, he's still good for playoff runs.
Yeah, and mean, a lot of people, they want Simmons, but, I think ultimately, it's been a lot of years now. They still can't get this offensive line right. It's finally time.
And I think for Gettleman job sake wise, there needs to be some improvement, especially on the offensive side. So I think the O-line has to be what's addressed.
That the defensive side would be that bad. I mean, with the signings, Blake Martinez will be a good signing for him.
He's a solid run-stopping linebacker. They have some pieces there. And they drafted a lot of defensive talent last year. They took Dexter Lawrence, you got DeAndre Baker, you got Julian Love. They got a lot of talent on the defensive side last year. So I see this being a no-tackle pick.
And they signed Bradbury, too.
And they did sign Bradbury. They put a lot into the defense in the offseason. They still might trade for Yannick Ngakoue, so...
Yeah.
I don't see that happening during the draft. I see that being a post-draft trade, if anything.
Yeah. I don't know. The cap space might not be there when they tag Leonard Williams.
So I don't know. But number 5, I have the Dolphins taking Justin Herbert.
Yeah, I think that this is the obvious pick here,
Especially if Tua's not there, Herbert goes. And just to put this in bit, Herbert is my favorite QB in this draft class. I think he has the highest ceiling out of all 3 of these QBs.
Yeah, I think
he also has the lowest floor. He could end up being the Paxton Lynch of this draft class. Or he could end up being, I don't want to compare him to Patrick Mahomes, but he's the boomer bust candidate. He could either be really good or he could be awful.
Yeah. But, I also look at that as a quarterback, which I don't think will be a first or second round pick, but I could be completely wrong. I think that Jalen Hurts could have that same potential.
The only thing that worries me with Hurts is I just don't see the pocket presence because he's never had to be a true pocket quarterback. But I do see him being a sleeper in the later rounds, maybe like Pittsburgh, and he ends up being that mid-round guy who ends up actually being a solid starter for one of these contending teams. Don't be surprised if a team like Philadelphia.
A lot of Dallas rumors, too.
I could see that, honestly. If the Cowboys really aren't committed to paying Dak, getting Hurts later in the round, maybe at least doing that to pressure Dak a little bit. And, hey, if you keep Dak around 2 years, you could trade Hurts for a third-round draft pick or something.
Plus, listen, I think if Dak were to hold out and Hurts got plugged in, I think that's the perfect team with the perfect weapons for him to step in.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good fit.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep it going here. At number 6, I have, after the trade with the Chargers and back to Detroit now, I have them taking, since they addressed their need at corner in my trade by getting Desmond King, I have them taking Isaiah Simmons.
Yeah, which I absolutely see that, but in my trade I did not have them receiving a corner, and that's why I have them taking Jeff Okudah.
I could work either way with that with the Lions. The Lions need a difference maker on defense, and either Okudah or Simmons could be that.
Yeah.
I'm actually not a huge Simmons fan, which is weird why I have him going 6th. Not so much that I deny he has incredible athletic ability and he could be a game changer at the next level. I always am cautious with guys who don't have a highlighted position.
Yeah.
And especially if he's going to come into the NFL as a strong safety, that's not a value spot in the top 6, top 5.
No.
You can't be drafting a strong safety that high up. You can't be drafting an uber athletic box safety that high up.
Yes.
But if he does go middle linebacker and turns into like a Deion Jones type middle linebacker, then by all means take him that high.
Yeah.
Which is what I see him becoming here with the Lions.
Yeah, and that's going to put me right on pick number 6 here. Luke Kuechly retired, and I believe that Isaiah Simmons is going to be their linebacker.
Ladies and gentlemen, what you are hearing is the screeching sighs of my dog in the background. Please let me apologize for that. However, yes, so you have Okudah going, you have Simmons going 7 to the Panthers.
Going 7 to Carolina. They definitely need a linebacker at this point.
I agree with you on that. I actually, though, since I have Simmons off the board to Detroit at 6, I have them getting the James Bradbury replacement at 7. I have them taking Jeffrey Okudah there.
Jeffrey Okudah. Okay, so basically all we did was block the picks. Both teams in our draft have a need at the position, so we just have the need and probably best available player at that time.
Agreed. let's go number 8 to Arizona, as I try to quiet my dog down. Number 8 to Arizona, I have them taking Jedrick Wills. You could talk me into Andrew Thomas, but I think Jedrick Wills is the pick here.
Yep, they got to get that protection immediately for Kyler Murray. They traded for DeAndre Hopkins.
They don't need a wide receiver here.
And soon it is going to be win now for the Arizona Cardinals.
Agreed, and you need to protect Kyler Murray. You know, he's a smaller quarterback. I don't want to say fragile because that's not exactly fair, but smaller quarterbacks don't take as many big hits, so it can be hard to protect them. But you need to here. All right, at pick number 9. At pick number 9, I actually have a bold move that I'm not sure if I'm okay with, but I feel is going to happen. I have Atlanta trading up with Jacksonville. I keep hearing rumors about them jumping into the top 10. And I don't think Cleveland or the Jets are willing to trade down, because I think what's happening here is it's not so much Atlanta has their eyes on a specific prospect. I think they just want to hop Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Because there are two teams with very similar needs. I've heard Simmons rumors. I don't think this would be a high enough pick to get Simmons, and I don't think they'll trade up with Detroit or Carolina.
Yeah.
So I have them at 9 here, and it could be one of two players. It could be C.J. Henderson or it could be Javon Kinlaw. I have them taking C.J. Henderson.
Okay, you have them taking Henderson very early.
You know, I actually think Henderson has been an underrated corner going into this draft. I've watched some of his film. There's some misconceptions with this film about how many passes he actually let up. He played incredibly well against LSU in that game when Florida and LSU played, basically blocking off the side of the field. And, you know, again, Atlanta picking at 16 originally, I think they're afraid that Oakland will take him at 12. So I don't really think he's a 9th pick value, but I think they want to make sure they get him.
I think C.J. Henderson is a fantastic prospect. And in my mock draft, when it came to the Falcons at 16, I was between him and one other player, and you could flip those two players with the Cowboys and the Falcons, because I think it's going to go either way there. But when we get to that, I will basically just... I mean, I don't know. We'll see. But,
so you have Jacksonville still picking at 9.
Yeah, I saw Jaguars picking 9, and I got them going Jerry Jeudy.
Interesting.
I think it's, I mean, I don't know. I think that if they really think that Gardner Minshew is of the future, that we got to get him a weapon here to see, really, you know, what he's got.
Agreed. I'm not sure if they think they're really rolling with Minshew or if they're going to tank for Trevor next year. I'm not really sure what they want to do. But this is definitely a spot I could see a trade down happening. I don't know if it will specifically be Atlanta, but I could see a team trading up here.
Yeah.
Number 10, Cleveland. Look, I mean, this one's pretty obvious. I have them going Andrew Thomas at 10. They need to address the left tackle spot. They got Jack Conklin. They got Austin Hooper. Baker's got all the weapons now, no excuses. They've rebuilt some of their offensive line. They need one more piece, and I think Andrew Thomas can be that piece. He's the most polished pass protector in this class.
Yeah, and honestly, I think that Baker Mayfield takes a lot of heat. And last year, his offensive line was pretty dreadful.
Oh, it was awful.
You know, he was running for his life most of those games.
Agreed.
So I think that we need to get him the proper blocking before we really see, you know, before we really grade him on what kind of quarterback he really is.
Agreed. Moving to number 11 with the Jets, I have them taking CeeDee Lamb. With Andrew Thomas, Jedrick Willis, and Tristan Wirfs off the board, I think they'll go receiver instead of O-line. And I have heard that their scouts are absolutely in love with CeeDee Lamb.
Okay. So, things, I mean, what I did here was a little bit interesting, but I have the Buccaneers being a desperate team here because they have Tom Brady and it's probably only going to be for 2 years. I have them trading up to 11 with the Jets to take Mekhi Becton.
See, that is something I could definitely see. I know the Bucs are definitely targeting Becton because I think he'll be the O-tackle that's around when they might get to pick.
Yeah.
I just don't know if the Jets are going to be willing to move that far back, because the only thing is with the Jets is that if they move that far back, with the Niners there at 13, probably going to take a receiver.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know if they'd be willing to settle
I'll
for
show
Henry
you my
Ruggs.
thought process when we get there.
Okay.
But yeah,
But I think they take CeeDee Lamb just because he fits the Robbie Anderson role his rookie year and he has tremendous upside. Moving on to number 12 with Oakland. With Henderson now off the board, they go to their D-line and they go with a run stopper in Derek Brown.
okay, here's what I did. So the Jaguars lost Calais Campbell. I have them trading up to 12 to jump over the 49ers, who just traded to Forrest Buckner, and I have them taking Derek Brown.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll explain to you my thought process
I don't
when we
know
get to
if this is
16,
really gonna
yeah.
happen. If the Raiders are sitting there, they might just want to take them and not trade it. But I do have them gaining some more value in the later rounds.
Honestly, Derek Brown to me I think is one of the more overrated prospects in this draft, mostly because I don't see much of a pass rush game with him. He seems to me like a run-stopping D-tackle, which is good, but I wouldn't spend on a pick this high. But I think he is going to go early here to some of these teams that need some D-line help, and I see that being Derek Brown. Moving on to 13. So you have the Niners still here, correct?
Yes, I do.
I have them taking Jerry Jeudy.
Okay, I have them taking Javon Kinlaw because Jerry Judy's already gone.
And on your board, Jerry Jeudy is already gone. I have them taking Jeudy because
And-
I think he's the best receiver in this class. And with Emmanuel Sanders gone, they need a premier outside weapon. They have a top weapon in George Kittle, but for Garoppolo to take that next step, he needs a primo weapon, and Jeudy can be that. But I'm guessing you have Javon Kinlaw going here at 13, I imagine.
Yeah,
right?
I do have Javon Kinlaw. I think that the Niners are going to wait until their first round pick, until their later first round pick with all this talent at the wide receiver position, or they could even wait till the second round probably to get a really good wide receiver prospect.
I can agree with that.
Yeah.
If they want to get Buckner's replacement right away on the D-line. Moving on to 14, so you have who sitting here?
I have the Jets sitting at 14, so the trade back works. They still get their guy in CD Lamb.
Okay, basically ours are the same way. We just swap picks. I have the Bucks here taking Mekhi Becton.
Okay, so we already explained that, so let's keep on going.
Yes. Denver at 15. I have them taking Henry Ruggs.
Yep, no brainer for me too. You got Drew Lock, Courtland Sutton, Henry Ruggs, and Noah Fant. Now with Melvin Gordon and Philip Lindsay, I think that team can make noise this year.
Agreed. I think that can be a sleeper wildcard team if Locke plays pretty well. 16, I have Jacksonville now here. Atlanta is, I obviously already picked at 9 in my mock. I have Jacksonville here taking Javon Kinlaw.
Okay, which I completely understand.
I'm not sure if Kinlaw will actually fall this far, but if he does, it's great value here for Jacksonville at 16.
Yeah. Okay, so now what I got. So this was tough for me. I got the Falcons 16 and the Cowboys 17, and I look at two guys here. I look at Caleb Chasen and I look at C.J. Henderson.
Yeah.
And I think that it could go either way, but I personally think that the Falcons will be picking C.J. Henderson.
Agreed. As we've already discussed, Atlanta released Desmond Trufant, so they require a corner. And also, Dan Quinn and his familiarity with the Florida defensive schemes, I think, helps their want for Henderson as well.
Yeah.
So moving on to 17, do you have Chasen going there?
Yes, I do have.
I do as well.
Okay, so we signed Aldon Smith, the Cowboys signed Aldon Smith. Randy Gregory could be reinstated, but they will not be reinstated before the draft. And I think Chasen's just a no-brainer here.
I think so too. I think you need pass rush help to replace Robert Quinn and someone you can actually rely upon. No offense to Randy Gregory and Aldon Smith, but who the heck knows with them?
I mean, hey, look, they both have a ton of talent. They both can make an impact, but you got to have a player that will for sure be on that field week 1.
Agreed. So moving on to 18, this is Miami. I believe this was Pittsburgh's pick, if I recall correctly.
I believe so.
I have them taking Cesar Ruiz, the center out of Michigan. I think, Burrow, their O-line is horrible. Pouncey, I believe, is a free agent, and they need some interior O-line help to keep him upright.
Yeah, now I had them picking AJ
Espinenza, yeah. Out of Iowa, yes.
Yeah.
I could see it.
Yeah, I think he would be a solid pass rushing option for them.
My thing is, I just think Miami spent so much money on defense and free agency. I just see them trying to make sure Herbert is kept upright.
Yeah, which is also understood.
Number 19, this is Oakland. I have Christian Fulton going here. I'm not a big fan of Fulton. I think he's a little slow for an outside corner, but I think he's the best corner available at this point, and Oakland needs to address their secondary. They're so close, but they need a few
in my draft, I had them missing on every wide receiver, so at 19, I had them selecting Justin Jefferson.
Interesting. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, number 20. This is Jacksonville again. I have them. This is actually the replacement that they haven't gotten in a while. Jacksonville's defense seems to thrive very well when they have a hard-hitting safety. Jonathan Cyprien, Barry Church, etc. They don't really have that right now. So I have them taking the best safety available. I have them taking Grant Delpit out of LSU.
Okay. Now, if you remember in my draft, I actually had the Jaguars trade up to 12 with the Raiders.
Correct. So this would be another Oakland
selecting in this spot. And I also had them picking a safety, but I had them picking the safety from Alabama, Xavier McKinney.
That makes sense. I think they're is McKinney more of a box safety or is he more of a coverage guy?
I'm pretty sure he's more of a coverage guy.
Which would make sense for Oakland because
I think that he's more of a coverage guy.
They got Jonathan Abram last year, and they still have some depth in terms of box guys. They need a real coverage guy, and if McKinney is, I'm blanking on his scouting report for me, but that makes sense. Number 21 is Philly. See, you already have him off, but I have Justin Jefferson going here at 21 to Philly.
Okay, I do have a receiver, but I have it in Jalen Reagor from TCU.
That makes sense. Best receiver on the board. On your board, Jefferson being gone, but on my board, Jefferson being here. Number 22. Number 22 is the Vikings. So this was the trade they made with Buffalo.
Yes.
I have them taking Trevon Diggs out of Alabama. This is the Xavier Rhodes replacement.
Yeah. Now Christian Fulton is still on my board, so I plugged him in there at 22. Again, a cornerback's a very big need.
23, New England Patriots.
Yep.
I got Jordan Love.
Yep, I don't. I got Grant Delpit.
You know, it was weird for me to pick a quarterback here. But just looking at the bottom of this draft class, I just don't see a team that's willing to trade up. I just don't see it. I don't see a team that's willing to give up the assets to New England to trade up here. I wouldn't be surprised if a team maybe like the Colts or somebody does it, but I just don't see it at this point in time. Yeah, so I have them taking their quarterback.
Okay. Now, we will move on to the Saints. I pick 24, and this is where I have Jordan Love going off the board.
See, I've heard the Taysom Hill rumors. I don't know how accurate that is. They're ride or die with Drew Brees at this point, and if they really are serious on developing Hill, I mean, I could see it here, but I think they're loading up more for one last run at the big dance. So I don't see them going QB here. I have them fixing probably the biggest issue on their defense that nobody ever seems to talk about. I have them drafting Patrick Queen out of LSU to play middle linebacker.
Yeah, Patrick Queen.
I don't know if you've ever seen the Saints, but as a Falcon fan, I see them twice a year. They have one of the slowest linebacking cores in all of football.
Yeah.
And it hurts them. You saw in the wildcard game against the Vikings, it hurt them last year against Dalvin Cook. They cannot contain fast running backs. It messes with them every time they play McCaffrey. It messes with them when they used to play Tevin Coleman. The Saints they need some speed in the middle of their defense, and I think Patrick Queen is the pick here.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. But, I just see Jordan Love look, I think Taysom Hill is a hell of an athlete. I don't think that arm is the answer at quarterback for the future, and the future is going to be soon.
I can agree with that.
The future is going to be very soon.
All right, 25, I have obviously you have him off your board at this point, but I have Minnesota getting the Stephon Diggs replacement. I have Jalen Reagor out of TCU, wide receiver, going here at 25.
Yep, and I also have a Stephon Diggs replacement coming in, but it will be Denzel Mims from Baylor.
Makes sense.
Yep.
Moving on to 26, this is Miami's third first-round pick. A lot of teams with a lot of picks in this first round this year. I am continuing my theme with Miami. I have them taking Ezra Cleveland out of Boise State at offensive tackle.
Okay.
You know, I think I had originally I was going to have Jonathan Taylor go here.
Mm-hmm.
But looking back on it, I see them going running back maybe later in the draft.
Yeah.
And I think it's just, you know, you're investing in this top QB, get some young O-linemen around him. Your weapons aren't bad. You have some decent weapons. You have Jakeem Grant. You have Devontae Parker. You have Grant Williams. You have Mike Gesicki. But fix that O-line so your quarterback, when he eventually does come in, because I'd sit Herbert for a year, isn't running for his life.
Yeah, because that is going to be a major problem, and he is not going to look good if he's running for his life.
Agreed.
In his first year, and that's why I also have the same exact pick here at 26.
Moving on to 27 with the Seahawks. This pick is mostly under the assumption that I think they do a sign and trade or they somehow lose Jadeveon Clowney. I still see him signing elsewhere, so I have AJ Espinoza going here.
Okay, now I had, something that's kind of interesting, but I had the safety, Antoine Winfield.
I'm not going to call this a reach because I like Antoine Winfield, but this is definitely something I can see the Seahawks doing. The Seahawks never are afraid to reach in drafts for the guy they want. That wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, totally.
Moving on to 28, I was torn on this pick. If Patrick Queen was still here, I would have 100% say they take him. But I think it's a little too early for Kenneth Murray. But I wouldn't be shocked if they tried to get their C.J. Mosley replacement here. But I have them taking Uter Gross Matos out of Penn State.
Okay.
I know they just got Calais Campbell. But he's only going to be there probably a year or two. And they could not generate any run-stopping or interior pass rush against the Titans last year in the playoffs, and it killed them.
Yeah, no.
And Uter Gross Matos is a guy, he's a great 3-4 D end. I think he can be a really good pass rusher.
Now I went in a little different direction here. I went with Zach Bond.
What was Zach Bond? Bond, I like Bond as a linebacker. He fell on my board due to his recent diluted sample test that came back positive. Not so much that I think he really did anything, but that kind of a thing that close to the draft without the intimacy of a normal draft, I could see it hurting his stock. So I actually don't have him going in the first round.
Yeah. Alright, so now we're moving on to the Titans at 29.
The Titans are the weirdest team in the draft always when it comes to me because I never know who they're going to pick. Like last year they took Jeffrey Simmons. He didn't play at all because of his ACL. I'd imagine he'll either start at D-tackle or he'll be the Jarrell Casey replacement. But I think they still need some pass rush help. I think it killed them against Kansas City. So I have them taking Julian Okwara out of Notre Dame.
Wait, AVC, hold on a second.
Yep. So Julian Okwara, pass rusher out of Notre Dame, was, I believe, their sacks leader this previous season. Probably would work best as a D-end, but could fill in at a 3-4 outside linebacker. Mostly I think as a D-end. He and Khalid Kareem were a great pass rushing duo this year. And I think the Titans need that extra beef on the D-line in order to really make a deep run in the playoffs. Their secondary is aging a little bit, but I would wait to address that in the later rounds.
Okay, I'm back. So, basically, I also went with the D-lineman, but I went with Neville Gallimore, I believe that's how you pronounce his name, from Oklahoma.
Okay, I can understand that. He's a solid D-line prospect. I just don't have him going this high, but I could see it.
Yeah.
Moving to number 30 with the Green Bay Packers. This is another weird pick for me. I'd like to give them a D-tackle, but I don't see one that really fits what they need. So I'm going with, they're going to try to get their number 2 receiver of the future. I have them going with Laviska Shenault. Now, he's fallen on a lot of boards due to his injury, but healthy, I think he has number 1 receiver potential.
Yeah, no, I had the Packers also going receiver here with T. Higgins from Clemson.
T. Higgins is a solid prospect. I see him more as a day 2 guy, just off the off, but if a team really likes him, I could see that being the pick.
Yeah.
Moving on, 31, San Francisco, almost done. I have them taking Jeff Glandy out of TCU. Only one secondary player is under contract for next year. This upcoming season, all of them are under contract, but next year, the only secondary player under contract is Jimmy Ward. So they're going to be losing some people, so I think this is the time you take a corner, since you already addressed receiver earlier in the draft. I have them taking Jeff Glandy here. I also could see at D tackle. I could see Justin Matabuke. I could see Justin Matabuke also going here, but I have Jeff Glandy going here.
Yeah. Okay. So I had Cesar Ruiz going here. I think that they need that that interior one for the run game.
That definitely makes sense. Moving on to 32, our Super Bowl champion Chiefs with the final pick of the first round. I have them going Kenneth Murray out of Oklahoma.
Okay, I have them going DeAndre Swift.
I could see running back. I just don't see it this early. I would not be shocked whatsoever. I honestly wanted to put either DeAndre Swift or Jonathan Taylor here.
Yeah.
I think DeAndre Swift is probably the better fit for Kansas City.
Yeah.
They run a lot out of gun. But then I look at their defensive side. They had a lot of Asian dudes last year. And again, the modern NFL, you need a fast middle linebacker. And a guy who can cover tight ends and a guy who can cover running backs in space. And I think it's Kenneth Murray here. I think you need that pick for the long haul.
That's actually who I was basically in between, like Swift or Murray.
So talk to me more about DeAndre Swift, the thought process here. Just real quick.
My thought process with Swift?
Yes.
Okay, basically, I think Danny Mullins is a solid running back. Now, he is not an every down back. No. We can both agree on that, right?
Agreed.
Okay. So now you plug in someone that is also probably not an every down NFL back, and when you put them together, I think that they could get a lethal combination going there.
I can agree with you on that. All right, Jay Vitt, thank you very much for joining me here on this mock draft here on the show. I really appreciate it, and I look forward to probably seeing you in my live stream on draft night.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thanks for having me, Mr.
Yeah, no problem, man. Stay safe.
Right. Thank you guys for watching.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it here for this mock draft here on the Talk with AVC. Thank you all very much for watching. If you have any questions, please leave them down in the comment section below. And yes, I will be going live either on YouTube or on Instagram on draft night. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun. Again, thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.